So this is the first video of two videos about how R thinks about data. And the goals of this first one are really to be able to understand different data types in R, and then also understand how to create vectors and then investigate those vectors with different functions. These are really important because it's pretty fundamental, and honestly, a lot of the errors I get are because I have some sort of issue with my data type. And so once you start to understand what R is thinking, it can help with problem solving later on. And so, as I mentioned, we're going to start by looking at vectors. So vectors are essentially any series of values. It could be numbers, it could be characters, but we're going to start with creating an object. And as we've been mentioning, R is an object-based language, like many of the uh, coding languages. And that's a really helpful functionality piece that I think will become more clear as we progress in this class. So as I mentioned, we're going to start by creating an object. So let's call it weight. And we want to set a series of values. So the way to do that when you have more than one value that you want to add to an object is using this function called concatenate. But really it's just C for short. So all you have to type is the letter C. Uh, it's one of the shortest functions you'll use. And here we can type any series of numbers. So let's do 50, 73, 47, because I like that number, and 2. And then we'll hit Command Return, and you'll see there's a series, that series of values pops up on the right side of my screen. So I'm going to move my little video so we can see this here. So that's cool. That means it's saved in the environment. And then I also can see in my console that the numbers were saved. So one way to bring those up as well is just to type the name of the object in your script. And we can see that the values pop out just as I had listed. Okay, but what about text values? So let's save another object, animals, and we'll list some of the animals that come to mind here. Sure. And so we save that vector, and again, it pops up into our environment. That's great. But let's look at it in the console here. So yep, we're returning these values that I've listed here in the object. But one thing I just want to point out is that each word is surrounded in quotes, and that tells R that in fact this is a character value. So we can examine that with some additional functions I'm going to add on this part of the lecture here. And so there's a few ways to explore the data. We can look at the class of the object, so class of weight, and this tells us that it is numeric down in the console. You can also look at class of animals. Let's see, this tells us, in fact, it's a character. So this is really important information to know. But what about the length? Let's see how many values we actually have in each of these objects. Okay, we have 4 in the weight. That lines up. What about animals? Yep, we have 3. So these are just some ways to explore. Another function I end up using quite a bit is str, or short for structure, basically. And this allows you to look at a few more details of the object. So structure of weight. And this tells us down here, so it's numeric. There's 4 values. that it ranges from 1 to 4, and then these are the values. And you'll notice that this is actually the same as what your environment window shows to you up here, which is handy. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to show you all is what if you want to change your vector? So you want to add just like one weight to the list that you already have. So let's show you all how to do that. So we're going to pull up the weight vector that we already created. And then we can actually just type in an additional value that we want to add. And you'll notice as I'm going here, sometimes I write, a hashtag and then some additional notes. And that's just me commenting my code, which is really helpful when you come back to your script later and you want to know why you did something. So I highly encourage commenting. It's basically just a way of note-taking inside of your script. Okay, so let's see what the new weight object looks like. All right, so now we have this 90 added at the end there. Okay, but what if we wanted to add something at the start? Oops, we're gonna type, let's see, the number 3. Weight, close parenthesis, and voila, we have a 3 at the start of our vector. So that's it for the vectors video. Thanks for listening.